Live. Are we live yet? I think we're live. Yep, there it is. Okay. And so they can't see your beautiful face yet. Let me sort that out, and then, boom.
Hey.
Now everyone can see you. So,
Oh, wow.
yeah, this is it. This is the live right here. We're just gonna sit like this and stare at each other.
Oh, nice. Yeah,
Uh,
that's always a great video.
yeah, just awkward.
Where's this going live? This is on the Jabby Koe normal channel, right?
Nope.
No, we
Jabby
have
Live.
a brand new channel called Jabby Live. There was a
Ooh.
whole drama on Republic Day with Doordarshan, and we were live streaming on our main channel. So probably not the smartest idea, but we were like, let's live stream the parade. That'll be really fun. And so we did, and then literally, I don't know what happened. They allowed us to do the whole parade, and then right at the end, as we were closing out, it was like copyright strike, and we were like, "What the hell?" And so we rallied the team. The Jabsters assembled, and we like tweeted the hell out of Doordarshan, and like we're trying to ask any of our friends or anyone we knew who was like, "Do you know anyone there? Who can we email? Who can we call? What can we do?" And we were just convinced that it's Doordarshan. There's no way they're going to reply to us or remove this copyright strike, and we couldn't live stream on the main channel. So we were like, okay, well, let's just take the jump now and create just a streaming channel, which we did. But then Doordarshan got back in touch with us, and they like took away the strike, and they were like, yeah, just don't stream our shit anymore. So we were like, okay, then we won't. Okay, bye.
Yeah. So we only have like 10 minutes with Saurabh, and you took up 5, just so you know.
Oh, really?
I'm kidding.
Sorry about that.
That happened.
Jabby's always like,
But-
you
but
talk a lot.
wait, you guys should have said that, hey, this is going to become an international incident.
Yeah.
Like, this is a diplomatic issue now.
Yeah, exactly.
When we get all the embassies. By the way, so I had done a stream with a bunch of my friends, Gursimran Khamba, Amit Tandon, and Neeti Palta. All three happen to be comedians. Two of them happened to perform for a New Year's Eve show on Doordarshan.
Oh, shit.
And it's literally the funniest story anybody has ever said on my life. About how they performed, and it wasn't even New Year's Eve, and the countdown ended at 11:30, and it's just a crazy amount of absurdities. So we were planning to live stream Doordarshan's New Year's Eve stream this year, and then we realized that they're going to put a strike on us, which is what happened.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well, you guys avoided that, effectively. But thankfully, like she was saying, because everyone was. By the way, if it doesn't feel like I'm looking at you, I am looking at you on my TV. So, thankfully, with everyone helping us out on the Twitters and whatnot and trying to get their attention, they responded to me within 24 hours, like right away. They're like, "Hey, just don't monetize our videos, and we're fine." I'm like, "Okay." So I just don't do. I just don't
so
touch
you
the
can
content.
live stream their stuff, but
Yes.
you can't monetize it. That's
Exactly.
it. Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Well,
Exactly.
that was the understanding that I had, but I just don't chance it. I'm just like, I'm just not gonna take a risk. I'm like, why even go near it? Because like a long time ago, we got a copyright strike because we did a reaction to Sachin Tendulkar's farewell speech, and ever since then, we've stayed away from everything cricket related because of the cricket YouTube board thingy. I'm just like, not worth it. People are like, why don't you react to cricket? I'm like, it's not worth it. It's just not worth it. There will be no more Jabby Koe if we react to cricket stuff because it'll get 3 copyright strikes from them. It's all it takes. It's very simple. It's very easy,
Well, there was a point. So the BCCI doesn't allow you to mention the names of IPL teams on radio. So the team is called Mumbai Indians. So you can't say Mumbai Indians. You have to say Team Mumbai, or you have to say that Premier League team from Mumbai. You can't even say IPL on radio. You have to say this current 2020 match scenario that's happening currently at the moment with sponsorship. Like, you have to figure out ways around it. So yeah, you can't. You'll definitely get a copyright strike from BCCI, 100%.
Wow.
Dummy Test wants to
Yeah.
know, Achara, would you do a meme live stream after the interview?
I don't know, man. We'll see.
So 2 people asked, this is from Ankur Sengupta and Hawkeye, do you think it was unfair for Sky to get dropped without even getting to bat?
Are you guys watching cricket? Are you watching the matches at all?
No.
Pro cricket player here.
So
Just kidding.
So are you guys at all aware of what's happening?
No, I
At
just
the
know they
moment?
lost.
So there's an India and England series that happened. First, there was a test match series. The test matches last for 5 days each. And India, after losing the first test, basically came from behind and won the next three resoundingly. And now the T20 is happening, which is 20 overs a side. And there's a player called Surya Kumar Yadav, SKY Sky, who plays for the Mumbai Indians and was like one of the most kick-ass players in the last year's tournament. And he got selected for his first ever India match. And he didn't get turned to bat because India won by 8 wickets and he was batting like literally, he was the next person in. And now he's dropped for the next side. So people are like, yeah, that's pretty brutal. But it's something that's happened before. So, I mean, he's not the first one for this to happen to. So, yeah, I don't think, yes, it's fine. He'll be back, man. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. Well, at least it wasn't like, oh, then, at least it wasn't bad. It's just that they won and that's why he didn't get to bat. So it could be worse, I think.
We have a question from Rahul Gaikwad. He goes, how did he lose weight?
Who, Rahul Gaikwad? How did Rahul Gaikwad lose weight?
He wants to know how you lost weight.
Rahul, I'm not sure how you lost. I was just trying to be an ass. I lost weight the only way I know, which is, CrossFit, a disciplined diet of just pumpkin seeds and eggs, and more discipline and meditation.
Hold on, is
and
this real? Are you fucking with me right now? You're messing with me. As soon as you said CrossFit,
I actually did.
as soon as you
I did.
CrossFit, I'm like, no, that's bullshit.
I started intermittent fasting for like 6-8 months.
Okay.
And cut down on sweets like crazy, like significantly, and salt and all, and carbs. And I just wanted to get as attractive as my wife.
Okay.
That was my whole aim in life. I used to see her, I'm like, yeah, I don't need to look far for inspiration. And then of course I lost 12 kilos prior to the lockdown and then put on about 4. So I'm again going back to like, hey, you gotta catch up.
Yeah.
And also I'm a Pahadi. Pahadis are people from the Pahad, which is a mountain. So I come from a place called Uttarakhand, which is a state in India, and there's a place called Nainital, which is like a hilly place. And we're known for walking. So one of the things I did was that I used to walk like an hour and a half to 2 hours a day, and over and above that workout. And Tiger Shroff has cited me as one of his inspirations repeatedly. So that's just who I am.
Have you actually talked with him? Did we talk about them?
Yeah, we did.
We talked about him.
Yes.
Okay. I have my own questions here.
Aren't you BFFs with him?
I am friends with him, and he will like randomly like comment on my Instagram posts and stuff. Every once in a great while, I'll text him, but it's like I try not to bother anyone. Like Manoj Bajpayee, he got COVID. He got COVID recently, and I'm like, do I text him? Do I send him a message? Do I say like, hey, hope everything like, or does it seem like I'm simping? And he's probably getting bombarded left and right. So maybe I'm just like I'm just an asshole at that point for texting him. Like, I don't know how to approach these things. So I just like most of the time just leave people alone. And then, and then Tiger Shroff leaves a comment on my Insta. I'm like, oh, okay. I don't know what to do with these things. I always treat it the way Joker described catching a car in The Dark Knight. He's like a dog. I'm like a dog trying to catch a car. I wouldn't know what to do with one if I got one. But anyway, I have some questions I prepared for you in case people didn't have questions.
By the way, this is the same as Veer Das, okay, fellow comedian friend of mine. He just got announced as I think he's one of the actors on Judd Apatow's next film.
Oh, wow.
And it's the same situation where I'm like, should I message him?
Oh, yeah.
And then I'm like, yeah, but this is a happy thing. So, of course, I got a message. And Veer and me go way back. So, I think it depends on the relationship as well. Yeah.
Right.
But,
Yeah.
Like, I'm in touch with a lot of cricketers.
Okay.
And so when they do well, I'm like, hey, should I just pile onto this bandwagon? And then I realize it's actually probably more important to message them when they don't do well.
That's true. Yeah. Because less people
interesting.
would be messaging them and being like, hey, dude. Like, what do you say?
Well,
what do you say? Commiserations. Like,
Well,
No, you say, hey, looking forward to the next one, man. Kill it the next. And also because the thing is that Indian cricket fans are not the most balanced human beings out
Right.
there. Like India won 3 matches and won the Test match, which is considered the epitome of cricket.
Right.
And then we lost one T20 match, and everybody's like, "This team sucks. How will we do? Well, Virat Kohli should jump off a building and on to Mumbai Indians team." And it's just like everybody relax. It's just
Right.
a useless match which nobody cares about.
Right.
I mean, this particular one. So.
Speaking of celebrities, have you ever had an encounter where you started talking to a celebrity either in person or in text message, and you're like, "Oh God, this person won't stop talking to me," and you don't know what to say or do anymore, but they just keep talking to you? Has that happened to you?
You tell me your story first, and then I'll tell you mine.
Well, I don't want to say any names. I mean, I'll tell.
Sure. We'll try and guess.
I'll tell you. I would tell you off camera, but I wouldn't say on camera. But there have been instances where a celebrity will connect with me, either through text, through face, what do you call it, video chatting or whatever, and they're just really enthusiastic about talking to me. And after an hour or 2 or 5, I'm like, I don't know what to say anymore, and I don't know why you want to keep talking to me of all people. Like, don't you have any friends? Like, why me? That kind of thing has happened to me a couple times.
So it was Shahid Kapoor, wasn't it? Was it Shahid Kapoor? Would have been great if I nailed it the first time. Like, it's Shahid Kapoor. Yeah,
that would be great. And I guess he does seem like the kind of guy who would just keep going on enthusiastically. I haven't talked to him at all.
Yeah. I think I had an interaction with what about Achara? Anyone in your world?
No one talks to me, so
that's not true at all.
No,
that's not true.
Who talks to me?
There are celebrities that she talks to. I'm not going to say who it is on camera, but yes.
No, I don't have that experience.
I'll type it at you or something. Then you can go, oh.
Listen, I was having a conversation exactly like this. We weren't naming names in a live, and then I said the first name, and it was got it. Yeah, got it. And the first name I said was the correct name. And the other person was so thrown. What is the word? Thrown away.
Thrown.
Just thrown.
Yeah, was thrown.
Caught off guard.
They said, no. You got caught. That's the person. I had a conversation with Cyrus Brocha. I mean, it's like he's a comedian, and he's a guy I grew up admiring a lot. And the problem with talking to comedians and comedians talking to the other person is that once a bit starts, nobody wants to be the last to end. Everybody wants to be the last to end. So I literally wanted to ask him to come on my YouTube live, and to get to that point took 27 minutes. And this is on WhatsApp chats where I don't know what I said, and then he replied back. And after a point, he got frustrated, and I was like, wow, I beat Cyrus Brocha at his own game. So I was very proud of myself.
Yeah.
So see, your stories are with more famous people. Mine are with Cyrus Brocha.
We have a couple people here. So Jaron Paul says, Saurabh by Agla podcast mere sath.
So Jaron is a frequent commenter on my YouTube lives, and he's been saying that I should have the next Agla podcast mere sath means the next podcast with me. And Jaron, as I've repeatedly told you, this is getting really embarrassing. Your manager's not answering phones. I don't know how to get in touch with you. He's asking for too much money. Mm-hmm. I don't have that many zeros in my bank account. So Jaron, I would say that, listen, just tell your management to get the act together. It's getting really embarrassing.
Then we have Doom Cluster. He says, Rithik called Saurabh funniest guy. Is it true?
Yeah, he did.
Really?
He did. I happen to be. Yeah, he did. He was very, very kind to me in 2014. I think around the time Krish 3 came out. I've forgotten the time. That's actually quite a fun story, I remember. So I performed for a private party for the Roshans, and it went off quite well. And then the next day he tweeted about it, and I have used that tweet for introductions globally.
Wow.
Anyone, anywhere, I mentioned Hrithik Roshan, and then they Google Hrithik Roshan. And I think I was doing a podcast in the UK, and somebody said that, man, it's literally like Benedict Cumberbatch saying that I'm the best comedian he's seen, because it's the equivalence of Hrithik at that point of time. He's a very sweet guy, man, and also really, oh my god, he's so hot. He's so, oh my god, dude, he's so attractive, that man. So I remember he was wearing sweatpants and a cap. Okay, he just come from the gym or whatever, and my wife happened to be there with me because she usually doesn't want to come for anything that I have. But she's like, "Oh, Ritik is there. Yeah, yeah, I'll just pop in, just chill." And so I hugged him, and I could feel his abs on my chest, and then my wife hugged him, and I'm like, "Yeah, this is great." So he's a sweet guy. And I remember meeting this one guy who happened to be an MTV VJ at the time. He was a video jockey for MTV then. And I think he's the one who actually suggested my name and got me the gig. I was hanging out with this guy and just being like, really like, yeah, I did such a good show and I'm so good at what I do, and just being an ass, okay? And just like condescending to this guy, and it turned out to be Ayushmann Khurrana.
Oh.
so yeah.
Wow.
And he's still the sweetest guy, man. Him and his brother are really just really, really nice people. So, yeah.
So wait, what was that like for you? Because you knew you were performing for the Roshans. It was like, what was that like for you? Like, was it just like any other day, or was it nerve-wracking?
You know what I've realized is that it's entirely up to the organizer to ensure that the show goes off well.
Okay.
Like I met his mom, who was just just really delightful. Like, she's like, "Hey, anything you need, please let us know. We're all yours. We'll make sure everybody's paying attention," because private parties could go either way. Because what tends to happen is that people want to go to the bar more than look at your bullshit. So they just ensured that it was a fun experience. So you just felt like a little rewarded by the thing. And also, I mean, they are artists themselves,
right?
So they're aware of like what you require and all that kind of stuff. So I think the first 2 minutes I was a little bit nervous, but it went off really well. And then I was like, should I do more? And I'm like, no, I think I've done well. Let's not belabor the point and ruin my reputation for these people. So it's like sometimes you'll get an organizer who will come up and say, "Listen, you better do a good job, okay? You better do a good job, okay? I'm counting on you. You better do a good job, okay? We're all waiting. The whole day has been shit, and you better do well." And you're like, just calm down, dude. This is too much pressure on me. Just kill it. So, yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, that's.
I can't even imagine. I mean, Louis C.K. sort of made fun of that in his show Louis. With I mean, he's done that a couple of times. But let's see, we have a couple of people here, super chats. Deepak Rala says, "Hello, West Coast peeps, love from Kolkata." Amir Q Khan says, "Your views on Yogi Adityanath, answer only if you want. By the way, lots of love from fellow cricket lover."
Oh. Yogi
Is Yogi another?
Yogi Adityanath is the chief minister of a state called Uttar Pradesh, which is India's most populous state, and I think the most big, largest even from an area POV. And he's from the current ruling the ruling government in the center. So yeah, I'm just gonna reserve. I'm just gonna say that I like his hairstyle. We share hairstyles, and that's all I'll say. I think it's a good choice he's made, and yeah, that's about it. Those are my comments.
Okay.
Arnav Banerjee says, Peach, no one talks to me, sad life. I guess I can't ask you how you've been."
Oh, it's for me.
Okay.
What's up, Arnab?
And I don't know what Anubadi Dewan said yet because it's stuck down there.
We'll see.
Okay, so we'll see. Yeah. All right. So my question is, from the outside, I've written my questions down. From the outside, it looks like the comedy community is extremely supportive of one another, and everyone gets along with everyone. I haven't heard of any beef between people. Is that really what it's like, or is everyone in the Indian comedy scene like a shadow government organization collectively saving face?
See, the thing is that it's like, even if you're being bitchy in the industry, right?
Yeah.
Because as a comedian, you're inherently a bitchy human being.
Right.
Right. And you're allowed to do that because people are like, "Oh, they're joking," right? And sometimes we're not joking, but people are so it's almost like when you meet each other, right? Like, if a comedian has had a bad set and you meet another comedian, that person is going to call you out and rag on you for the whole night.
Right.
So there's very little left on the table. You know what I'm saying? There are beefs. There have been people who've had minor infractions here and there, but a lot of those people are not really part of the scene. I wouldn't say circle. It's like a bunch of circles, and then there are Venn diagrams and blah blah blah. So I would say that it's pretty good knit group of people. I think they used to be when the scene initially started. I think because there was a shortage of space and everybody was a little insecure about who they were as people. And now I think everybody's realized that, listen, you have your own market and I have my own market, and I also just like enjoy what I do so much that why do I want to shit on somebody and blah blah blah. And by the way, all of this changes the second you enter an open mic scene. So when open mic comedians like so I used to hang around with Kunal Kamra and Karunesh and all these guys. Oh my god, dude, we all like, I mean, I've heard things said about myself over bushes. So, I've discussed this with Kamra multiple times. There's a bush and I was standing here and Kamra was here and he couldn't see me. And he's telling another comedian, what the fuck was that shit? Yeah, fuck all comedy, man.
Yeah.
This guy's one of the top comedians in the country, piece of shit. And I was like, yeah, totally. But I mean, now the thing is that like he would literally come up to me and say that to my face now. So I think it's I think we've all grown. And I personally, I don't know, I'm sure people have grouses, but I don't really bother with it too much.
That's cool.
I mean, that's a good attitude to have, I guess.
Yeah. How did that make you feel when you heard you heard shit being spoken about you over the bushes? That's like out of a movie.
It was a set that would have worked if I had done it for a year more, but after that night, I didn't do it ever again.
Oh.
But it's later it turned out that particular set has been done by 4 other comedians. So obviously it wasn't that original in the first place. It was just one of those thoughts that everybody has. I think it's a bit about chess or something like that. It was ages back. And it was a bit which is just, I think, there's a comedian in Pune who actually does it really funny. There's a guy called Tarang Hardikar who does it really, really well. So I'm glad that like he's nailed it. I don't think I would have been able to get to be that good. So yeah. What about you guys? How's your life going, guys? How's things happening with you? Tell me about yourself in less than 175 words. Please proceed. Tell me every detail in your lives.
Still surviving.
I just got a text from another celebrity, and I was like, "Oh, this is who I'm talking to right now." And I just sent her a photo of you. So
nice. They'll be like, "Sorry, who is this?" Is that?
You know who it is. It's a friend of yours as well. Here.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. Here, I'll put it here.
Oh, all the secret chats.
There you go.
Got it.
Yeah. Because I was like, I asked her, are you mad at me? Because like I thought I pissed her off. And she's like, no, I'm just busy. I'm like, okay, just a second.
Yeah, Jabby gets like really, what is it, like neurotic about things. Like if he texts someone and then they don't reply, or like he's left on scene for a while, and then he's like, but what did I upset them? Did I say something? And then he'll like show me the text. I'm like, you didn't say anything wrong. They're probably just really busy. So like, you need to calm down. Like one of my best friends, I'll text him and like, I won't hear from him for a year. I'm not upset about it. I'm just like, you got shit to do. Like,
I get paranoid really easily. I always think I'm like overstepping my boundaries because I've spent so much of my teens and my 20s overstepping my boundaries that I'm like, okay, I'm like overcorrecting all the time now. I'm trying to make sure I don't overstep my boundaries to the point that I don't even reach out. It's like just in a shell.
But isn't that interesting that it's all about like those teenage years, right? Now it's like the insecurities from then, like in a roundabout way sort of creeping. Like I was trying to coordinate with, I think, Kenny and Kenny Sebastian. I was trying to get him for a show for a while, for the YouTube lives for a while. And I knew that he was just busy, right? And I think there was a couple of other people. I think Kanan I still haven't spoken to, and I'm sure he's just busy doing other stuff. But like, it's literally that where I sent a message and it's just unseen still.
Wow.
And I'm like, wait, this is like, has he muted me on WhatsApp? And then later I just found out, dude, he's just really busy. So I'm like, it's okay, man. And also I came to a point, like I was talking to this guy and he said that, hey, how do you get people on the show and blah, blah, blah. And it's not something you struggle with at all. But I said that if you're a young person creating content, you like somebody will say no to you because you've probably not earned it yet.
Right.
And you need to almost prove it to them. And 6 months later, go down and say that, hey, listen, I've now interviewed like Barack Obama and could you come? And then this person's like, listen, I'm a lead actor in Gujarati theater. So no, I'm busier than Barack Obama.
Okay. Well, shamelessly capitalizing on that question, what do I need to do to earn the right to have a interview with Kenny Sebastian or Veer Das. Like, I've tried the Twitters, I've tried the Instagrams, and like I think Kenny even follows me on Twitter, but like I haven't had a conversation with him, not once. And he's very well aware of who I am. And like if I catch him on a live stream for like Netflix, and like I go to the chat, he's like, "Oh, Jabby's," he gets excited to hear my name, and I'm like, "How do I like get through this threshold?" Because
Well, the problem is this YouTube live format itself is a massive challenge for us right now. Like, so I was planning to do a bunch with a bunch of American comedians.
Okay.
And then I realized I don't think they're going to understand the sort of issues that you face with creating content in India. Like, you can't say stuff about 4 or 5 topics. You just can't, especially on a live.
Right.
And if you say it, and if say you read out a bad chat and then you respond to it, that's essentially going to be trending on Indian Twitter for the next like 3 months, and it's going to keep coming back to bite you in the ass for the rest of your life.
Gotcha.
So I've spoken to a bunch of comedians who said that, listen, I don't want to do a YouTube live, and I'm like, I completely understand. So it might literally be that sort of fear of. So I think the other option is just to say that, hey, we're going to do a Zoom recording and then we'll upload the some.
Yeah, no, I offer that. I offer that because like I imagine that very thing could come up, and I tell people all the time, if there's a question that if there's any conversations you want to steer clear of, I won't ask you questions about that. Just let me know, because I know that feeling myself. Like there are some things I don't want to talk about. So anyway, we got Archipel Ray here. He says, continuing on Jabby's question, Saurabh, how do you differentiate between sarcasm and genuine response from other comedians?
I mean, as in like, what do you know is the genuine response? Like when you're talking to comedians?
Yeah, how do you know when they're being genuine or disingenuous?
I mean, we are very rarely being genuine. So when we are being genuine, then it's probably sarcastic. Like if we are saying that, hey, listen, man, I really love you. You're a great person. You're like, hey, fuck you, man. Fuck you too. It's one of those.
It's like a bunch of New Yorkers.
But I think you can tell. Like most comedians, you can kind of tell because we've seen each other so much. Like, I mean, right now, because I think everybody's off the lineup shows because of COVID and all that kind of stuff, where 10 comedians are on a lineup and all of that. But fortunately, because of the YouTube lives, I've understood the beats of a lot of comedians, right? And so, yeah, you can tell when people are being genuine versus when they're being sarcastic or whatever it is.
Right. Anubati De Juan says, ask him if he is Garhwali or Kumaoni. What's his favorite?
It's Garhwali or Kumaoni. So Garhwali is Garhwal and Kumaon are basically 2 of the mountain ranges in Nainital, and they're both opposite each other. I hope I'm getting this right, because somebody's going to come and correct me and say, hey, it's not a mountain range, it's a hillock, and then you've ruined everything. This is what I think. If it's wrong, please correct me.
You've ruined everything.
So you've defied our culture. You're a human disgrace. We'll never allow you to Uttarakhand again. So I'm a Kumaoni. I'm from Kumaon. I'm a Kumaoni. Pants are usually Kumaoni.
So. Okay, gotcha. And then do you have a favorite Pahadi dish?
I haven't eaten much Pahadi dish from Nainital. I have eaten a lot of Pahadi dishes from Simla, where my mom is from, and there the best dish would be katthal ki sabzi, which is made by my nani ji, which is amazing. Katthal is basically ripe jackfruit, and we cook it, and oh, dude, it tastes literally like mutton. It's beautiful. It's the best. And I think they've started making like a lot of the Impossible Burger variants and stuff like that started coming out.
Okay.
The mutton edition was with jackfruit inside because it tastes so close to mutton. So yeah, jackfruit because it helps me pretend.
It's so weird to me with the whole jackfruit thing, like being trendy now for vegans, because growing up, I only ever had it just as the fruit. Like we never cooked with it, and it just kind of blows my mind that you can use it as a meat substitute and it tastes like.
And it stinks. The fruit stinks, man. It's so stinky.
I'm Thai.
Yeah, but yeah. Do you like what's that other fruit? Yeah, the
durian.
One which is like everywhere. Do you like durian?
I don't, but the rest of my family does. But yeah, that one's really stinky. That one's not good.
Have you that thing you were talking about a second ago about like getting corrected about how you've ruined everything? Has that ever happened to you where fans have come up to you in real life and just started like lecturing you about something?
they always come from a good place, because I think what tends to happen with everything that I communicate, it's that I'm never saying that, hey, I'm the decisive factor and the know-it-all of everything. I always come off as saying that, listen, I don't know shit, I'm just making jokes. And usually I'll get somebody saying, hey, listen, man, that joke that you said, you're just a fucking piece of shit. Let me explain to you why. And then I'm like, yeah, you're correct. You're absolutely right. And then I just changed a bit. So that's happened quite a few times. I had a whole set about doctors for the longest time. And I think I had I had a completely wrong idea about anesthesiologists, for example. And somebody just came and said, dude, that's not what we do, man. You've got it completely wrong. We don't put spearmint chewing gum in people's underarms and then lick them. It's not what we do. And I'm like, okay, that's so yeah, I have had this. I was doing an event, okay, a corporate event.
Okay.
And I was performing in first show. I had done a corporate show live in front of an actual audience, which is a corporate show. And corporate shows pay you like a happy amount of money, so you're like, sure, let's see how I will die tonight.
Right.
And then I did some bits. And so what tends to happen is that, like, having done this for 12 years and done corporate shows for a bunch of time, what you tend to do is that, hey, okay, first I'm going to do some jokes about cities, okay, cities in India. And then if people are into it, I'll do more cities. And then I'll talk about my wife, and if they like that, then I'll this thing. And then if I'll talk about travel, then I'll talk about politics, I'll talk about news. On this show, I tried everything. I tried every possible, like, cities, not interested. Okay, what about my wife and my relationship? Don't give a shit. Cool. My children don't care. So I literally went every possible option that I had, and there was no pleasing them. Then one uncle comes to me after the show and he's like, "Beta, you know, the thing is, no, you should know. Just next time, man, you try to be funny, okay?" And I'm like, but great feedback, dude.
Are you for real?
Just try to be funny.
Just next time, as a comedian, you should try to be funny. I'm like, thanks, man. It's good advice.
And you just took it like you just laughed, basically.
Of course I laughed. I was like, what are you talking about, dude? It's been 12 years.
Well, that was one of my questions later on is, how does bombing feel today emotionally and mentally versus how it felt when you first started out?
I love it, man, now. It's great. It's so much fun. Oh. Like, it depends on why you're bombing, right? Like, if you're bombing, like, because, like, if you're bombing in front of your audience, right? Like, people who almost have pre-approved you, that's honestly very rare. It's probably happened once in the last, like, 2 or 3 years or whatever. And then sometimes it's just circumstantial where things are not going well. And then it's just the audience they're just not getting you. Right. And then it starts being like a really sick joy to torturing them more. And I thoroughly enjoy that. Dude, on those kind of shows, I always say, hey, I'm going to perform 10 minutes longer than I did because you're not liking it. So, I've done that when I was supposed to do 30 minutes at a wedding reception. And I went on for 75 minutes just to make them angry. Because they were just not into it. I'm like, sure, let's do 10 minutes more. And then they were even worse. And then I think the last 7 minutes of my act, they finally got some jokes. And I'm like, okay, I'm done now. I can't.
Nice.
Oh, by the way, Jabby, you asked a very controversial question. The last time somebody asked me this question, right, I was like really blasé about it, but I'm like, I don't bomb. I'm a genius. So fuck yeah. And then 2 days later, I tanked in front of 2,500 people. So.
Oh, shit.
Wow.
What's the name of that guy who does the podcast with Akash Singh? Is it Andrew Schultz?
Yeah.
Is that his name? Are you aware of Andrew Schultz?
Yeah, of course.
So I made friends with Akash Singh, who's now his co-host on his podcast, before they had that going on. And I basically introduced him to a lot of my audience, Akash Singh. And I was listening to their podcast the other day. This is a long-winded thing for a very simple question. And they were interviewing Alex Jones, and I was listening to the podcast, and they were asking about something like really big and tantalizing. And he goes, all right, can I go pee-pee first? And so it made me wonder, like, are you ever in the middle of a set and you have to go to the bathroom really badly? And what do? Do you just go? Like, you run off stage? Has that ever happened to you? Or it just, all that shuts down for the duration of the jokes and then it comes back?
Yeah, I mean, so usually what tends to happen is that you fire up right before. I mean, if you use the term as loosely as possible, it's like I know a show is going to be great when I need to go right before the show.
Yeah.
because then it's almost like the body is like, hey man, let me free you a little bit and let me enjoy. So Akash is a very interesting story. So I went to New York in 2013 and I just decided completely cold to start doing open mics in New York and see how it pans out. And I think I was doing a show with Akash. I think it was a lineup show with a bunch of other comedians, and I was really nervous. And he's like, hey man, just chill out, man. What the fuck? Just calm down. And I was like, yeah, man, it's easy for you to say. And he's like, dude, just relax. And he was right. I mean, it's like I was really young, because I think in the US, like in 2013, there were not that many shows as they are in India right now.
Yeah.
Like today, living in Mumbai, I could be on stage doing spots twice a night if I wanted to.
Yeah.
Back then, it was like you would probably be on stage like once a week if you were lucky.
Yeah.
And so I think they were coming from that point of view where they were on stage so often that it almost became like as familiar as walking or whatever. Whereas I was coming from, hey, nerve-wracked and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
So yeah.
I was trying.
He's got a very Indian Chris Rock vibe about him. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Look-wise, yeah.
Well, the thing is, when I found him, it's like he was just sort of like about to be famous. I found him right before he got like crazy famous. That's the weird thing. And so I was trying to have a video Zoom thing with him and Nimesh Patel, because I managed to make friends with both of them about the same time. And then the podcast with Andrew Schultz blew up. And then I haven't heard from him since. I'm like, damn it! Like it's like catching a Pokemon or something, or a Bitcoin. I'm like, I was so close. He's like whatever.
Johnny, that's what I'm hoping for as well.
Yeah, Bitcoin.
Just to ghost on you because I'm so busy.
And I mean, that's what happens. I don't take it personally. It's like he's a very nice guy. He was he was very cool. And he was cool enough to let me do like reactions to his comedy stuff, which a lot of my audience couldn't hear because his audio wasn't great on his recordings. Most of his stand-up.
Oh wow.
Yeah, but it's like if you like have if you understand American English really, really well, because it's like Indian English, England English, American English, it's all like, unique. If you understand it really well, even with the bad audio, you can pick it up. But because it was kind of muddy, it's like a lot of my audience was frustrated because they couldn't understand what he was saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all good. But I was going to ask you two things. You have a video called Why I Left EIC, and it's not subtitled. So I have no idea why you left EIC.
So that's a troll, right? Like it's just a real long troll.
Oh, that's what that is?
Aren't those videos
Yeah, it's
usually
absolute
like that,
bullshit.
though?
I know you've done that kind of thing before where you like repeated your video for like an hour.
That was just a social experiment to try and see if YouTube algorithms would pick it up. But so that particular one is just that I think it was the first 2 weeks of the pandemic and I was bored out of my skull. So I decided I'm going to do YouTube live every morning, which sustained itself for 15 days barely because I realized it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
And I started realizing that the topics are more fun. So I did one about drugs in India and blah, blah, blah. And then one I just decided to do about why I left TIC. And I just made up so much bullshit.
Oh, really?
It was absolute crap.
Oh, wow.
For 45 minutes, I just said that, hey, Atul stole jokes from my laptop. And then I think Sapan slapped an intern and Azim did, I don't know what, some absolute complete bullshit. And I did it with a straight face. And then I cut that video and uploaded it separately, right, on Instagram. And I got some, I think 300,000-400,000 like views or whatever. And I started getting my mom messaging me saying, Saurabh, I mean, I understand things like this happen, but it's not the way to behave. Yeah, you're more mature than all of these boys. And then Angad's dad, Angad is one of the comedians at EIC. He said the same thing in the comments.
Oh my God.
Angad and Atul said, dude, you got to stop doing this shit, man. And so it was a great role. People, you really find out like how, you also find out how quick people are waiting just to hate you.
Yeah.
Because as soon as I said that, and then Sahil created his own video where he accused me of absolute bullshit. And then Atul Khatri did a video responding to both of us, and his acting was so bad. Like it was so bad that he didn't sell it properly. So it was a fun time. I was just like to keep myself sane in the pandemic. I was just like trying to create controversy out of nothing. So yeah.
So you've never actually said why?
I think I have. I think one of the reasons was that my son was born, my daughter was due, and it was just getting a lot of work, and I wasn't finding the time to do it. And also, I just generally started feeling that in a group of 7 people, which will happen, I felt my voice was getting lost. Because everybody, you have to literally find that, hey, listen, this is an idea, but how about this? And then somebody's like, what about that? And et cetera, et cetera. So I just decided that I think I need to take a move just to sort of be able to speak as myself. And yeah, it was a long process. I mean, it was, and we're all still great friends. So it's all good.
I have a question related to EIC, and if you don't want to answer this, you don't have to. So I'm giving you an out beforehand. A long time ago, I watched one of your EIC videos, which was designed to subvert people's expectations, called EIC Outrage Fuck Feminism. And at the time that I watched it, it resonated with me. I really liked the message that you were putting out there. Since then, in the U.S., we have rapidly progressed to a very woke culture with a lot of corporate virtue signaling. I wanted to know how you feel today about today's climate with cancel culture. Do you feel like it's happening as it should, or we haven't gone far enough? Have we overcorrected? I just want to know what like your feelings on all that stuff, because it's like we're in a very precarious climate right now with like everything being offensive, you know?
Yeah, not only that, and I think in India, what tended to happen was like I've forgotten the name of this gentleman. There was a lady who accused this guy of I think passing lewd comments or sexually harassing her at a traffic signal somewhere in Delhi. And he lost his job. I think he lost like for a year and a half. This guy was out of work and like humiliated and stuff for that. So I think they had court proceedings, and this lady just didn't show up. And this guy kept repeating across news channels that she was just fabricating it and all those kind of things.
Yeah.
So, I mean, those kind of stories obviously like sort of resonate with you, where you're like, listen, it's not as cut and dry as you think. One of the stories that's been breaking through right now was that there's do you guys know Zomato? Zomato is a food delivery app.
I heard the story. Yeah.
Yeah. So that particular story again, where you're like, I mean, it's just, you just don't know. So I've just, as I've grown older and more started seeing more things, I just realized it's not as cut and everything is not as cut and dry as it used to be.
Yeah.
Or probably it never was. Nothing was ever cut and dry.
Yeah.
And I think it was a space where what was happening in India was that there was just very little repercussions for, say, the term eve teasing, right? Which itself is a very annoying term. Eve teasing is basically the Indian thing of where you're catcalling and doing all that kind of stuff.
Gotcha. Okay.
And so that was the term where it says Eve teasing, which is itself is an annoying term. There was a point where there were very little. There was very little sort of defense, for that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that it's corrected itself, but at least it's made the right turns, right? And now you start seeing like, so there was a guy. There's a particular law which is. There's a dowry harassment law which is misused by a lot of people. I think there was a few hundred odd people who misused this. The law essentially said, and again, I'm not a legal expert. I'm just saying on the basis of what I remember reading, which is that dowry harassment was a big problem in India. So they passed a law which said that you could essentially be arrested or taken behind bars on the basis of no proof, just on the basis of an accusation by the wife or whatever. So it led to a lot of issues, and there was a guy, again, similar situation, lost his job and all that kind of stuff. So I wrote a book ages back called Under Delhi, which is about a woman fighting against falsely acquitted rapists in Delhi. And it was like pure anger, like just like a year of, this was when a terrible case with Jyoti Singh had come out at that point of time.
Yeah.
And we were all just like, and again, recently a similar thing happened in Hathras in India, which is another horrifying situation.
Yeah.
So it's sort of like everything's corrected itself and things are really moving forward or something. But yeah, I do think that a lot of your opinions tend to change, and I've started realizing that everything's not cut and dry. And I'd like to sort of let everything play out before I pass my opinions.
Yes.
Because I think what's happened on Twitter also is that you have to be the first 1,000 people to say something.
Yeah.
And after a point, I'm like, I don't want to be one of the first 1,000 people to say something. Let things come out.
Yeah.
Let everything come out, and then maybe I'll talk about it if it's required. Otherwise, I'll just keep shut about it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm still learning. I'm still trying to understand how things are. So yeah.
That's the best. I think that's the best position to be in, like mentally, is like always be of the mindset of being a student to the world, of like just like what's going on, like be observant, and don't be quick to make a snap judgment of some kind about someone you don't even know the circumstances. you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, or the full
And I know,
circumstances.
yeah, sorry. Yeah. Go ahead, Achara. Sorry,
Oh
I
no, I was just
interrupted you.
saying like just the full circumstances, because
Mm.
often things happen and then it's like one person says this and everyone gets outraged because of what this one person says, and then more information comes out and you're like, oh, should have shut up.
Yeah.
You know?
And you just don't know. Like I'll give you an example that I thought was quite interesting. I was just watching a video about, and this is related to how I mean, I don't know what's right or wrong in this situation, right? And it's probably not as the same. So Harry Shearer, who voiced Homer Simpson on The Simpsons,
Okay.
was removed from voicing the voice of Dr. Hibbert, who was basically a black doctor or whatever, and they
Right.
replaced him with a African American voice actor.
Right.
Now, the counterpoint to this is that this guy's been doing it for 30 years and why now and blah, blah, blah. And then the other point is that, no, so you know what I'm saying? Like, so I hear both sides. And I always think, I'm like, yeah, you both have a point. And in my head, I'm like, what do I think? I'm like, I don't know what I think.
Yeah.
Like, maybe I'm not supposed to have sort of defining opinion about these things. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, for that particular thing, I didn't know that. For that particular thing, controversial as it may be, I don't think they should have. I didn't know that until you just said it. I don't think they should have removed him. I think they should have let that actor do that thing. I think that in an ideal world, all ethnicities can play any ethnicity in a voiceover in a cartoon. My issue, and I've said it before, is that most of these voiceover jobs, these anime, whatever it is, just voiceovers in general, most of them go to a handful of people, most of whom are Caucasian. That's the problem.
Right.
It's not a very open society. If you open that up to anybody, which I feel like it's slowly evolving because we're in a very woke culture right now. It's slowly evolving. I feel like you're going to see more opportunities. My concern is us overcorrecting, and now Indians can only play Indian roles. Black people can only play black roles. I'm like, no, that really, really limits their opportunities in the voiceover world. That's stupid. That would be like detrimental to the whole like cause, in my opinion. I mean, did you have any feelings about when Apu got kicked off The Simpsons?
I didn't get it. I mean, again, I thought it was absurd.
Yeah.
I was like I was like I didn't care. But then I think a lot of comedians in the US had like some other experiences about it. So I'm like, maybe it's not my place to talk. But then I'm like, yeah, I'm Indian, so isn't it my place to talk? And then again, the Venn diagram would be, but you're not Indian American, so shut the fuck up. So I'm like, what are we allowed to say?
Yeah.
Like, I didn't find. I thought. All of the Simpsons or all of South Park, okay, for example, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, every time I think that, hey, listen, boundaries, and then I see South Park and I see Always Sunny in Philadelphia, and I'm like, yeah, okay, this is where the boundaries are at.
Yeah.
So I personally never thought Apu was offensive. All the characters are exaggerated.
Exactly.
For whatever POV,
Yep.
and who cares? Like it was, and it's again, it's like comedy evolves. It's written like 30 years back. You expect? I didn't see the point. I thought Apu was. You know what? My thing with Apu was that actually the character was funny sometimes. It was fun moments. So, yeah, it was like I was like, if they dropped Krusty the Clown, I'd be like, I don't give a shit. I never found that character funny.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, I'd rather have a character drop because they're not funny as opposed to, hey, some whatever.
Yeah.
Somebody tweeted.
Did you hear about going back to something you said a minute or two back? Did you hear about the that Scottish guy who he taught his dog how to do the Hitler salute?
It was a pug too.
It was a pug.
My favorite type of dog.
Did you hear about this?
I have no idea. No.
This made headlines, like global headlines, because they basically were trying to put him in jail for a hate crime because he taught his dog how to do the Hitler salute. To like, I don't know, like he basically turned his pug into a Nazi, but it was a joke. He was trying to figure out how to take this thing that his girlfriend loved and made it awful. How does he make this awful?
Yeah.
But like for ha-has, nothing more than ha-has.
Yeah.
He wasn't actually a white supremacist or anything like that, and like the courts just didn't find it funny and they wanted to put him in jail. It was crazy.
Wow.
I think he managed to get out of that thanks to like it becoming a global issue and a lot of people rallying to his defense. But like it's still like crazy that he almost went to jail for a joke in Scotland, in the Western world.
Yeah, in the UK.
In the UK.
So there's a show in India called Kapil Sharma Show, which is the most popular I'm sure you guys have seen, like, have you guys ever reacted to the Kapil Sharma show?
We've seen a little bit from it. We watched something that someone suggested with
Pankaj Tripathi
Pankaj Tripathi
and
and
Manoj
Manoj
Bajpayee.
Bajpayee. Yeah, but apart from that, we haven't actually properly watched the show.
Oh,
so it's actually it's been a cultural phenomenon and easily the most popular comedy in India, and probably arguably one of the top shows in the country. For a long time, the complaint against the show, which I think was probably correct, was about sexual jokes. Like there's probably two actresses on the show. One is Shamona Chakravarti and one is Bharti Singh, and I think there's probably a couple more. And so this thing was that it was demeaning to women and blah 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 blah. I spoke to Shimona in an interview, and she said, "Listen, I know the intent behind this, and the jokes are targeting me, and I'm not affected by it. So why is everybody else?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I mean, shouldn't that be the defining thing that, like?" And again, even if you are offended, it also depends on the intent. Like the Hitler salute thing, right? And by the way, this video might get taken down because we just mentioned this right now.
Yeah.
Like the monetization might stop because that's happened to me on Instagram.
No, it's not. It's not going to be because of Hitler. It's going to be because you said the R word. That's why.
What is that?
The R word. You know the R word? I can spell it. I can't say it because maybe with your accent, the YouTube thing won't pick it up. But RAPE. I can't say that word.
Oh.
Because
really?
YouTube will demonetize this video in a heartbeat. I was doing a. I don't want to derail what you're talking about. You finish, and then I'll tell you how I learned that word became a thing.
So I'm saying that it's also about intent. It's about what you're intending. Like, okay, I was in a situation very recently, which is a very awkward conversation that I had with somebody regarding some family matter or whatever it was. I don't want to get too in depth about it. And like some of the stuff that this person said was not. It was really like it was hurtful and all the rest of that shit.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in my head, while this was happening, I was like, you know what? I could literally go for a tweet storm about how I'm whatever about this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like affronted about this whole situation. And I realized that what is the intent of the person? And I don't think the intent of the person was to be that. The intent of the person was just that they didn't know. They were not aware. And maybe my point of view in that situation would have been to tell them that, hey, listen, maybe next time don't say that. And this and XYZ, this is the reason why. And then if the person's like, okay, you know what, fair point, I'm like, cool, no problem. And even if they had not said cool, no problem, and I stand by my opinion, I would still be like, it's, you know what, it's fine.
Yeah.
I'll probably talk about it and stand up 10 years later, but for now.
Yeah.
I don't want, like, unless somebody's a really like, I think now suddenly what's happened is that we've not realized that we have the power to end careers and whatever.
Yeah.
And a lot of people have. I mean, there's a law. I can tell you offline a few things that occurred. And I was like, hey, what?
Yeah.
And so a lot of my opinions changed, like where I'm like, yeah, everybody is not correct in what they say. And I'm being as controlled as I can right now.
I just hope that we transition, because we've transitioned from woke culture to cancel culture. I hope we transition into patience and learning culture at some point. Like, that's my hope, because this is getting like crazy, and we are deeper and deeper into our echo chambers, you know, of what we think. And I'm just hoping that we transition out of that somehow. It doesn't look like it's on the horizon. I hope it's coming, but you know, with the way things are, have you seen? There's a video on Netflix called the social dilemma.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've heard of it.
You gotta watch. Okay, you gotta watch it, and then we gotta come back and talk about it. I need to hear, like, I want to be part of your review for that movie. It's a Netflix.
Let's do it.
Yeah, it's a Netflix documentary. I got to hear your thoughts on it, because I think that you'll have a lot of things to say. I think you'll. I think I'm just gonna be listening to you talk about it for 2 hours straight, because I think you'll have so much to say. The Social Dilemma. It's on Netflix.
We gotta do it.
Go ahead.
So I'll tell you just a small thing, right? So when I've been doing Wake Up with Saurabh, one of the things that I intended right from the start was that I'm just going to talk to people who are talented and interesting, right? And people who work hard and who are fun, and also people who can hold a civil conversation, right? Not people who are going to come and scream and shout and try and shove their point of view down my throat, right? So what tended to happen was that, like, because I'm surrounded by liberals, because as a comedian, that's roughly what 95% of us are.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that I am. I'm just saying that some of us are. Hey, guess.
Guess who?
And so I started getting a lot of people who were from the right. Right. And so a lot of the criticism that started coming towards me was that, look at this guy talking to the other side. And I'm like, are you out of your fucking mind or what? Like, have you really reached a point where you can't even engage with people you disagree with? Is if they're being civil. And this person I had multiple people who were being very civil in their point of view, and they were being nice and they were being fun and they were still bringing out their point of view, blah, 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 in their little ways. And I was like, if they're being civil while they're talking to me, I'm absolutely okay with that. So the thing is that this enemy culture thing is where the issue lies, where it's like, you don't even want to engage with people who you may be disagreeing with. And it's also reached a point where if this person is somebody you disagree with and somebody else is a friend of this person, then I'm not even friends with that person. And I'm like, then your echo chamber is just literally going to be you saying, you are correct. Yes. You are.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. That's dangerous.
Yeah.
That's extremely dangerous and anti-productive, in my opinion. Just to shift gears a little bit, Aditya Sharma says, hello, Saurabh. Huge fan, bro. Your wake-up show is hands down one of the best podcasts in India. Never stop the series. He's just a...
Thanks a lot, man. That's very nice of you. Really appreciate it.
I don't know if these people are still here. I saved their comments in the chat from earlier. Hopefully they're still here. Abhijit says, ask him whether comedy factions like AIB, EIC will ever be a thing in the future in Indian comedy, because we don't see it happening much these days.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll give you guys a little bit of a lowdown, right? Like you guys know All India Bakchud. That like All India Bakchud was Tanmay Khamba, Rohan Joshi, and Ashish Shakya, and then East India Comedy was us. And then there was also Shits and Giggles, which disbanded for other reasons, which has now become The Internet Said So. And there was Weird Ass Comedy, which is Veer, and I think Tanmay and all started, and I was one of the co-founders of that place as well. But not much of a co-founder, but I was. But what happened was that there was a point when back then in the Indian comedy scene, there was no infrastructure to create content. You essentially had to do everything yourself. Like if you wanted to create videos, you had to figure out who the camera person is. If you wanted to find a venue, you had to find the venue.
Right.
You literally had to organize everything yourself. So it made more sense to have 3 people to help you along with it. And also there was a point where you used to do sketches and all that kind of stuff. Now, as slowly as equipment has gotten cheaper and being able to create stuff has gotten cheaper, and people are more and more going out there and saying, hey, I want to find my own voice, I find it relatively unlikely that the comedy collective thing is going to be massive in the future. It'll exist. I'm sure there will be people who will be comedy collectives, especially doing improv and creating sketches, and they still do exist. But like AIB, for example, I think they would have still continued. And I think they had that show, which is going to be Irfan Khan's show, which obviously didn't happen.
Right.
And then Arshad Varsi was, I think, supposed to do it, and that didn't pan out. But I doubt the comedy collective is going to be a big part, at least for the next 5 years. Maybe later it will be back again. I'm not sure.
Sure.
And I'm talking purely stand-up comedy. I'm not talking about anything else. Yeah.
Right. And then Kartik Sharma says, does Saurabh PANT use a different room? Is it? I've known you for a while now, and I keep messing up your last name. It's PANT, right? Is it PANT?
Yeah, it's PANT. Yeah.
PANT. Okay.
PANT is good. Yeah.
Does Saurabh PANT use?
Listen, I called you JB for about 7 years. So that's all good.
You and everybody else calls me JB. It's like some people get really indignant about the way I say their name. I'm like, look, you're talking to someone who everyone fucks up his name here and in India. Everyone messes up my name. I'm just used to it. I don't care anymore. You know. So yeah.
Yeah, like when somebody says, "Hey, is it Sorabh? Is it Saurabh?" I'm like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
Live your life.
Yeah, exactly. You just like it's like there are bigger problems.
Yeah.
So, Kartik Sharma says, does Saurabh PANT use a different room when he is appearing on someone else's channel?
It's unconscious. It's also because my kids are sleeping in the next room,
That's what I
and so
figured it was.
I can't record there.
Yeah.
And also, I like this room, which is it's a
I
weird
think it's
room. And
great.
usually, it's yeah. I like. I would do my lives on this, but this doesn't look as fun during the day. And also, the next door there's a kitchen, so throughout the live will just be all this nonsense that happens. So.
So wait a second. So your wife doesn't give a shit when you're going live. She's like, I got things to do. She doesn't care.
Yeah, and listen, if you have kids in the house and they want milkshake or they want almond milk or whatever shit,
Right.
you gotta make it. You can't be like, excuse me, wait for 2 hours. Papa is making money for you. Dude, my son yesterday asked me a very critical question. He's like, Papa, how much money do we have? And I was like, what?
Wow.
I don't know. And then he said, don't worry. I don't know why he said, don't worry. Don't get financial problems. It's not yet. And he said, I have 143 rupees in my piggy bank. I'm like, that's nice, man. Thanks.
Oh, wow.
That's so sweet.
That's cute. Actually, since you said that, I have a question related to that. In 20 years, if it all works out according to your plan, what is Saurabh doing?
What I've been wanting to do for a really long time is that I want to do a weekly show which I'm hosting, basically like a live version of Wake Up with Saurabh, where I'm talking to one person for an hour. And also it's like open to young people coming and doing stand-up, or whoever the hell wants to come and do stand-up. And basically like not exactly a Tonight Show format, because I think that format is pretty much done, but just like a show. Like I want to do a weekly show and have it where that's literally, and then doing stand-up is never going to stop for me. I mean, I'm never planning to stop it. Maybe somebody will cancel me, and I don't know. I hope not. Please don't cancel me, man. I'm a nice person. I mean well. Teach me. That's all I'm saying. Just because you know what, you know what, Jabby. I don't know if you have this thing where both of you have this thing where it's like, you know what, sometimes I'll be saying something and in my head I'm like, I hope this is not part of a Curb Your Enthusiasm meme later on. Where I say, hey, I don't get cancelled, and then 3 weeks later, and there's a news article where comedian cancelled.
You know, it's funny to me how often comedians joke about that kind of thing. Like here in the States, I don't know if this is an Indian thing as well, but here in the States, like if like let's say I'm talking to a Chara and she's on a plane and I say, I hope your plane crashes. She'll be like, why would you say that? That like Louis C.K.'s joked about this. He's like, she'd be like, why would you say that? What if that actually happens? You'll feel bad. You know, but like comedians will just outright, like Bill Burr all the time is like, I'll be canceled next week. You're not going to see me anymore. Like he keeps making jokes like that. And like you just did the same thing. Like how do comedians feel so comfortable to make a joke about their career just up, you know, just up and ending, you know, like and just comfortably, like whatever.
Because it's quite likely. Like we're living with it every day. Listen, I have nightmares, okay, about things where I'm like, oh my God, like there's this person who has said this to at some stage while interacting with them, and then this is the other person who got offended by this random joke that I made, and then there's something I said in my old stand-up clip which somebody will just take out of context, and it's all people taking things out of context. They're trying to understand that, hey, I've evolved from that person, and maybe I was just a jackass then. And also the intention was always to be silly and funny. And also sometimes in your head as a comedian, you're like, just say it. And then 7 years later, you're like, why did you say it, you dickhead? There's no reason to say that.
Yeah.
So it's almost like a socially experimenting all the time. But it's true, man. It's like, I think we usually like sort of expressing our nightmares on a regular basis. So it's one of those things. Yeah.
Bill Burr's made a joke about that as well, where he goes, you know, you know, most of your life you're like, yeah, don't say it, and then you reach an age where you're like, ah, fuck it, say it, see what happens. You know? Komal Shashank says, Harry Shearer isn't the voice of Homer. I don't know if this is to you. Dan Castellaneta is. I messed this up. Let me try reading it again. I'm reading it like Google Translate. Okay. Harry Shearer isn't the voice of Homer. Dan Castellaneta is. Also, Phil Lamar is black.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Huh? I got that wrong. Harry Shearer is one of the voice actors on Simpsons, though he's not the voice of Homer. But he voices like about 100 other characters on The Simpsons. He has across time.
Also, Phil Lamar is black and voices Samurai Jack, and an Asian, and Tom Kenny voices the yellow sponge. People gotta chill. It's a voice. Phil Lamar, do you know who Phil Lamar is?
Yeah. He used to be on Mad TV, same guy?
Yes. I mean, he is like,
very funny.
I feel like he's the most prominent African-American voice actor. I mean, he was also in Pulp Fiction. Yeah. So, like, very, very talented guy. Ankur Sengupta, he was also, like, you don't play video games, right?
Listen, I play Clash of Clans all the time, and very good at it.
Phil Lamar was a character in one of my favorite video game series of all time called Metal Gear Solid, and so he plays
Yeah,
he plays a vampire character. Anyway, Ankur Sengupta says, I guess this is it. Achara, you can call Saurabh Takleya. That's his nickname. He loves it.
I don't know if they're trolling because people always try and get me to say like random things that I really shouldn't be saying out loud, especially as a nice, wholesome
yeah. You
girl.
can say it.
What does it mean?
Takleya.
Takleya.
It just means bald. It just means baldy. It's just like
Oh.
whatever.
Oh, so that's
like
it. So he's
Takleya.
trolling.
He's trolling.
Yeah, but it's like it's one of those things where it's like it's gotten so. It's like yeah, okay, cool. And also it depends again. It depends on the intent. With somebody like, hey, Takle, I love you, man. Then you're like, TK, like it's all good. But with somebody like, Takle, fuck you should die tomorrow, man. I hope a train lands on your head. And then you're like, why?
Okay, so wait. On that subject, how do you feel about movies like what's it called, Bala?
Bala, and then I forgot the name of the other one. 'cause
And the
it's a
other
little
one?
bit more
Ojala
complicated.
Chaman.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I put out tweets repeatedly around that time where I'm like, listen, I don't think there's enough representation of bald people in the industry, and I think they should be played like it's shameful. And it literally comes back to exactly what you were talking about. But I said this repeatedly, where like, I'm bald, I don't get opportunities because I'm bald. Nobody says that, but I can see that they're feeling it. And this is the best part when people took it seriously. But they're like, hey man, he's just an actor playing his part. And I'm like,
Wow.
people are so dumb, dude. It's great.
Well, because
So,
over
yeah,
here that's taken seriously because that kind of argument is real over here.
Yeah.
I mean, when Kevin Hart and Bryan Cranston did a film together, Bryan Cranston was playing a paraplegic.
Yeah.
And people were up in arms because they're like, well, we have real paraplegic actors. I'm like, but none of them are famous.
And
Like,
none of them are Bryan Cranston.
None of them are Bryan Cranston.
Yeah.
Like, the whole point is to see him acting, you know? But anyway.
I remember hearing that argument, and then I remember the counter argument to that was that the biggest Broadway play right now is Hamilton, which is about Alexander Hamilton, and it's not played by a white person. So,
Yeah.
I mean, like, it's.
I didn't even realize that.
you
I
know,
haven't watched it yet, so
Yeah.
yeah.
I remember because listen, all I do when I watch videos is go through their YouTube comments to find out how to base my arguments in future conversations. I get information, and I was like, "Oh, that's a good point." And they had like a few good points, and I'm like, "Yeah, listen, everything is not about your issue. Everything is not about your issue." It's
Yeah.
the theme of my new stand-up special.
But you're also looking at the best of the best because it's Indian comments. I feel like Indians have the best, like, strategic arguments in the world.
Oh, is it?
I think so because, like, I got tripped up in India it was so unexpected because we missed our flight in
Delhi.
and it wasn't our fault. It was the fault of the airline company because
was-
they kept arguing with each other.
It was marginally our fault.
No, we were
because
there.
We were running late.
No, we were
But-
there. We were about to get to the ticket so we can go on the plane, but they were arguing so much with each other that she's like, "Oh yeah, you missed your flight."
And me being me, I'm just there standing going, excuse me,
Yeah.
we need to catch our flight, excuse me? And then they're just like arguing away for like 15, 20 minutes. And I'm like, we could have made the flight.
But so here in the States, if something like that happened, you go to the management and you say, look, this is what happened. It wasn't our fault that your employees were arguing, et cetera, et cetera. And generally speaking, here in the States, management will help you out. But this auntie or whatever she is, she's like turned it around on me and made it my fault. She didn't know anything about me, but she like strategically took me down. And I was like, wait,
Nice.
what is happening here? And I'm like, this would never happen in America. And so ever since then, I'm like, okay, I'm going to be very careful when I'm arguing with Indians because they know how to fuck me up. Like, you know?
But it also depends on the airline you flew.
Sure.
It was
that's true.
Jet. They don't exist
Oh,
anymore.
that's interesting. So you guys got Jet to shut down.
yeah.
That's one of the things. One of the
We
gifts you gave.
canceled Jet. That's what happened.
Yeah, right.
Dude, I had the opposite. When I was, this was literally the same tour that I was, time when I was doing open mics in New York. I was flying via Dubai. I had a show in Dubai. And then, so I had taken a via Dubai flight from Mumbai to Dubai. So when I was flying from New York back to Mumbai, I was stopping over at Dubai. And so my bags were checked in. And then they were like, dude, you have a 17-hour layover and you don't have a Dubai visa. And I was like, yeah, so? And they're like, you need a Dubai visa for a 17-hour layover. I'm like, but I don't have. And she's like, your flight is boarding right now. I'm like, oh shit. So then I got really emotional, and she just cleared it, man. She just made it happen. I don't know what she did. She
Oh,
just spoke to somebody in literally 8 minutes. This happened where she spoke to somebody in whatever Emirates immigration and said he'll just stay at the airport for 17 hours. And she's like, "Are you okay with that?" I'm like, "Yeah, yeah. The airport is the Dubai airport is better than most hotels I can afford."
yeah, it's nice.
So happy to do it. Yeah.
It is quite nice. Aditya Sharma, how has being a father? He's asking you, how has being a father changed him? How is parenthood like? His family is so wholesome.
I mean, I don't know. It's just made me realize that the priorities in your life become like that. You know what I'm saying? It's kids and then all the rest of the stuff, which is literally true. And it happens almost subconsciously, where like you start taking care of yourself as a person because you're like, hey, I want to be around for a little longer. So let's just stop drinking that much. I mean, I don't, but in my head, I'm like, you should stop. And I'm like, good point. And then I'm like, just shut the fuck up and down the whiskey. But I think the thing about the kids is that it's been a journey though, man. It's been with its own set of challenges and stuff like that. And I think in a very weird way, because we were locked up in the house for a while, my wife and me got to spend a lot more time together, and because I wasn't touring and stuff like that. So I mean, I hate to be one of those people saying something like that, but the positive side for me in that regard was sort of that. But yeah, I just want everybody to be happy. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm there was a point where I considered being the whole edgy comedian thing and stuff like that, and now I'm just like, it's okay, man.
Yeah.
Just make them laugh.
It's we have a comment here that I think you'll enjoy from the Eternal. He says, "I don't like him, but I like his jokes."
Alex said that. Listen, I had feedback once when somebody said that, hey man, great set. I just wish it wasn't you doing it. Like, that's a great comment. I love it. It's really nice. Thoroughly enjoyed.
That like reminds me of Austin, just the city. Like they say, the worst thing about Austin is that it's in Texas.
Oh.
Yeah. And so we have a couple of super chats and chats. Nadia Fod says, "Please tell Saurabh that I watched Husn, Love and Betrayal on Moserbayer DVD. He owes me 37 rupees in 2 hours of my time."
What is that?
I don't know.
Where do you get the CD of Husn, Love and Betrayal? So ages back, when I was like 25, maybe, that was like 14 years back, I did a C-grade film for which they had promised paying 35,000 rupees, and they paid me only, yeah, it's full C-grade. Oh my God. And I think it was briefly on YouTube, and I wish I had kept copies of it, man. It's so absurd. They still owe me 25,000 rupees. I'll not forget that. I remember 4 people who still owe me money. Yeah, they're one of them. And I did a secret movie. It was horrible. It was basically, the plot was that there's a guy, and then he's with his girlfriend who's like really nice and really lovely and all that shit. And then he has a stalker who's the seductress and all that shit. And I'm his best friend. And then the seductress wants to be with him, and he's like, "Hey, I'm with this lovely cliche lady." And she's like, "But I'm seductress. What the fuck?" And then to take revenge on him, she tries to run me over and kill me and all the rest of that stuff. It was great. I got to do a stunt where I fell off a bike and stuff. And then, oh, by the way, I did a stunt, okay, where I pretend to fall off a bike. The shoot gets over at 3 a.m. I take a lift with a friend of mine who's riding a bike for the first time. And at 4 a.m., I get into a real bike accident.
Oh.
Are you serious?
And injure my knee for permanence. So, yeah.
Are you for real?
So I had to go through I had to go through like a year of physiotherapy to heal my knee. So, yeah.
And and that's the film you didn't get paid on.
Yeah, I'm like, you didn't get paid and you busted your knee.
Yeah.
Jesus.
I mean, the 10,000 rupees that they paid me is how much is, like, I think half of what I spent on physiotherapy.
Oh my God.
Wow.
That's great.
So Ashutosh, I don't know if these people are still here, but Ashutosh Bajpayee asked a while ago, Jabby, will you please let Saurabh explain significance of Gaba win? Also, what Saurabh Pant has to say about his little brother Rishabh Pant?
Yes, so backstory about the Gaba win. We watched a video and reacted to that. But obviously we're not huge cricket people, especially Jabby. Like, I have a rudimentary understanding. And so the reaction was kind of like, huh, cool. Okay, great. That's awesome. And everyone's like, no, you don't understand the significance.
I preface the thing about it is I preface the video going, and here we've got two cricket experts, like being very facetious. I'm just like, we don't know anything about the stuff. You've been asking us to watch it when we don't know shit. It's like asking a toddler to, observe this, complex physics math equation from Isaac Newton. It's like, what? Why would you? Okay, fine. The baby's just confused. So, but anyway. Go ahead.
So what sports do you guys watch? Like what are you guys fans of?
Esports.
No,
I don't watch any sports.
I only watch stuff that's related to combat, like boxing or MMA and stuff like that. I'll watch that, but I don't tend to watch. If it's basketball, I'll watch the playoffs or whatever it's called.
So I'll give you context like from an MMA POV. Okay, this is like literally like. Was it McGregor who broke his leg recently or some shit? Was that the story? Wasn't he fighting somebody and he broke it?
I didn't.
Whatever.
Yeah.
So it's basically like there's an MMA fighter who for years has been fighting the same person and been getting his ass whooped. Okay. And this person is just like behaving like an a-hole to him, constantly heckling him and saying he's a piece of shit, blah, 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 blah. Mm-hmm. And then there's a fight that happens. And in the first round, he gets his ass kicked again. He's bleeding from his lip. And then he's injured again. And like, there's no way this guy's going to win. And in the last round, he just destroys the other guy. And that's the Gabba will win because it's literally years and years of Australia. Like, so Australia is, I think since the early 90s been the dominating country in cricket and specifically in test cricket in Australia. And so India had won the last time they toured, but the excuse that the Australians made back then was that two of their cricketers, their lead batsmen, David Warner and Stephen Smith, were not there because they had gotten banned for a year for this is so complicated. This is what we should do a whole show about. Okay, so they got accused of ball tampering. Okay, ball tampering is a serious offense in cricket.
Okay,
because the shape of the ball, right? The ball is made out of leather and it's red. And so if you shine the ball on one side, okay, so the idea is that one side of the ball remains scruffy, the other sides they try to keep it as neat as possible because purely on the basis of physics, the ball swings that way. Which makes it obviously easier for the bowler to get the batsman out. Right? So they were trying to scruff it up, so increase the swing and all the rest of that stuff. So they got banned for a year. So this was basically Australia's chance to take vengeance and prove that, hey, listen, David Warner and Steve Smith are back and we're going to destroy you guys. And India lost the first test and they were all out for 36, which is the lowest score, I think, if I'm not mistaken, for some 70 years or something in test cricket by any team. And everybody was like, this team sucks and what is happening and garbage and blah, blah, blah. And then India came from behind and basically won that series. And that's and we won it in great style because there was a point in the third test where in tests, all the possibility, it's arguably the only sport where everything is a possibility from a result point of view. You can win, you can tie, you can draw, you can lose.
Right.
Everything is possible. Yeah. And so drawing a test match is usually considered a boring thing, but this was India basically backs to the wall. They had to bat an entire day with their number 5 batsman, who's essentially considered the 5th best batsman, and the number 8 batsman who's considered the 8th best batsman in the team. And these two guys just rode it out, despite being injured and not being able to run. So it was poetic. Oh my God, it was poetry in motion. I saw every moment of it, and it's the greatest thing I've seen in the lockdown. Like I've seen so many TV shows, and but you have to have the backstory of all of it. Otherwise, the context is it's crazy. We should watch cricket, and I'll just nerd out for no reason.
It's always shocking to me when cheating comes up at all in sports. I'm like, really? Like, did you not think you were gonna get caught? It makes me wonder how many times it happens and people don't get caught. Because like a while back, the Patriots in football, I think they were cheating because they flattened their ball a little bit or something like that. I don't really understand the context.
They deflated the ball.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, they deflated the ball a little. I'm like, did you not think? Like, why did you think you were going to get away with this? It just makes all of you look bad, like really bad. For a long time, people don't forget that kind of stuff. It's really bad.
But it's because they get away with it, right? Like the person who comes second after they find the person who came first in the 100-meter race has been accused of doping. Yeah. Imagine getting that gold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's done, dude. The moment I fucking practice for 4 years or whatever, 12 years and 16 years of my life is to be on that podium, not to receive this some shit by post like, hey, doping.
Yeah.
It sucks. That's your shit feelings.
Yeah.
So people get away with it, I'm sure. So, yeah.
Rejrock says, well, hello there, my man. I love your kick-ass punchline. So quick, my mind take time to process it. Love and peace. That's from Rejrocks.
Yeah, thanks, man. Appreciate it. Very nice of you.
Ishan Vyas says, oh God, I don't know. Oi taklia tu must he re.
Ask Saurabh to read, please.
What's he saying?
Hey, Baldy.
Yeah, you said
you're
it. You
cool.
said right. Hey, takliya tu mast re. It's yeah.
Okay.
Is that?
And it has to be said in that accent. Hey, takliya tu mast re.
Yeah.
It has to be like a little bit that, yeah.
Sagittarian guy asks, how much offensive language and swearing helps one with his stand-up blow up or go down the dumps? Any plans to do a show in Hyderabad?
I've honestly reduced the swearing in a show, and for many years, in fact, I've tried to make sure that I don't use it as a punchline, because it's. I mean, there are better ways to sort of, and I used to for a very long time. So in fact, a lot of the criticism I get is like, you are loud and you're abusive, and that is all you are. And I'm like, yes, that is all I was, but you should see me now. Now I'm just loud. So I don't use it as a punchline too much now. As if you see me abusing a lot in a show, then in my head I just think it's not going well.
Okay.
And I'm just compensating for it by abusing needlessly. I just, the word abuse is such a weird word, right? Like abuse, you have abused the language. It's just a word, man.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm always impressed by comedians who are able to get through a set without too many dick and fart jokes and too much cussing. Like, if you're able to do that and make people still laugh, like, hysterically, I find that quite impressive. Because I feel like people do kind of lean on that stuff, that kind of material and that kind of language to get through their sets. I don't know. But I'm not a comedian, so I have no idea, like... Well,
Well, no, it's true. There's a lot of things, like even like I have a whole set where I talk about politics and what's been happening in the news in the country, and it's a good set. I'm not saying it's a bad set, but it's a relatively easier set to write than like a story, like which is just so I have a story which I'm going to release in the next month or so. And I mean to answer this question about Hyderabad, we are literally doing Hyderabad on 4th of April. So tickets are on SORABH.com, so you can head there. And Pune this weekend, we're doing a recording. So you can come in Pune. I'm doing Spade Comedy Club on Saturday, 2 shows are there, which is going to be fun. And then Mumbai is a bunch of shows. And next week, we're doing a recording in Mumbai as well. So come for that because tickets are cheaper than usual.
Yeah.
But so politics and as you said, dick fart, all of that stuff is relatively easier to do.
Right.
The video that I'm going to release like in the next month is something that I've worked on for 6 years on and off, because to get the flow and get the whole arrangement right, and then to write it in such a way, because it's about real people, to try and tone it down to not make anybody feel like bad about the whole thing, even though eventually somebody will feel bad. Once you see the video, you'll know.
Yeah.
But my intention is not to hurt anyone. So to hone that, and then there's a whole set that I'm working on about dealing with suicide around you, right? And because it's a tough topic, to try and find the comedic angle, and I don't want to just cop out and say, hey, it's me being emotional. I'm like, there has to be comedy in it, right? And the comedy can't be about the event. It has to be about other stuff. So honing that kind of stuff, oh my God, it's taken years and years to just get those bits right.
Right.
Wow.
That's crazy. That's intense. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, that's a real challenge. My God.
Piyush Mishra says, hey, Jamie Nishar, please ask his opinion on Munawar Faruqi situation where he was jailed for a joke which he never told, which shook the whole comedy industry.
Well, listen, I've said this before and I'll say it again. I don't think comedians should make jokes. That's all I'll say about it.
Stop making jokes, comedians.
Yeah, just don't make jokes.
It's not your place.
That's what I do for most of my act. Yeah. That's the entire. I read stories about like Goldilocks and the Three Bears and shit.
Yeah.
Just kind of a few punchlines when you think about it.
Yeah, don't be offensive. Yoga is life. The whole don't be offensive thing is so weird to me, like how people don't want comedians to be offensive. It's like that's sort of their role, though. If they don't offend someone, they're not doing their job. It might be like Like someone should be
No,
offended.
not necessarily. I mean, it depends on the kind of comedian you are. You don't have to be like. I think the comedians that get talked about the most are in that zone for sure. But like as I get older, and actually this has been the case from right from the get go. I've enjoyed all kinds. I've enjoyed the ones who are offensive, and I've enjoyed the ones who are clean. Like over a period of time, I've really grown to admire, as you said, right, like the storytellers, right? Like there's an Indian comedian called Bassi,
Okay.
who's great. Like he has a story about a water cooler in a hostel, which is
Oh
like
yeah.
I just thought I'll watch like a minute of it, and I watched all of it. And I'm like, this is brilliant. So it's really a fun story, and it's not like he's being offensive. It's just a fun story. And then there's another comedian who I got to interview, and I have to mention this. It's been a while since I mentioned his name. I interviewed Jim Gaffigan.
Oh shit! Are you
Who's
serious?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I interviewed Jim Gaffigan, and this video is up on my channel, and Vipul Goyal will tell you that you should go watch it.
Okay.
So I've grown to really admire him because it's been like
Hot
years and
Pockets.
years. Yeah, it's the hot pocket, and he's still funny. He's still funny, being clean, all of the rest of that stuff. So I mean, I'll take all genres. I'll take a Bill Burr and a Jim Gaffigan and a Bussy and like a Michelle Wolf.
Yeah.
At the same time, yeah.
But I'm sure there are some like Catholics who got offended by Jim Gaffigan's jokes. You know, like
Yeah, they did.
even his humor being as clean as it is, he's gonna offend someone. That's what I'm saying. Like someone's gonna get offended. Hot Pocket fans might get offended. You know, I like Hot Pockets. Why are you making fun of Hot Pockets? You know, someone's gonna get offended.
Yeah, that's a pretty good Jim Gaffigan impression that he just briefly did there. I don't know if that was intentional, but he did. They literally they got offended by him because he said something about. I think he made some joke about Jesus or something at some show, and it was like not a very disparaging joke. But they were people offended. There were people who were offended about some joke that he made about his wife as well and all that kind of stuff. He had a show actually that I thought was actually quite fun called the Jim Gaffigan Show, which is like a comedy format, like a Louis POV, but with kids. And it was actually quite a fun show. But you really have to have kids to get it. Like for me, it hit the zone because comedian with kids talking about comedy and having kids. I'm like, this is a gold mine.
Right.
I don't know if everybody enjoyed, but yeah, it was a fun show.
Yoga is speaking of like touchy subjects. Yoga is Life says, ask Saurabh about his take on VR Das's recent controversial stand-up. I don't know if you want to talk about that. You can say the
I
same
did
thing.
see it.
Okay. Oh,
I've actually not seen it. I haven't seen it.
Well, he's been bold, very very bold with the things he's talking about. Not that he hasn't ever been. It just seems like he's become even more Veer Das in recent years, if that makes any sense. And I admire it. I think it's very very brave because I just don't know. I don't know what that response is going to be from people who don't know that jokes can be funny and like that it's just a joke and like it's just, you know, that's it. It can stop there. It doesn't have to go any further than that. It doesn't have to be violent, you know. And so I admire him. I admire what he's doing. But yeah, I'd love to hear your thoughts
I
on
think I
it.
saw the first one. I haven't seen the Consequent 2 ones. So I think I should watch it. Yeah, I haven't seen it.
I mean, he's become very George Carlin to me, if that makes any sense.
Right.
Because when I watched George Carlin, I wasn't laughing. It was just like, oh, that's interesting. Those are interesting thoughts.
Thought provoking.
Right. Yeah, it's thought provoking.
Very smart. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a area of stand up that I feel like has died for the longest time and is sort of making a resurgence. You know, so that's pretty cool that he's taken that front, and I think a lot of people don't get it. So it's interesting. That's all.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen the 2 bits, and Veer is always like funny in what he does. But like, you know what? I was doing a set, and I got a response for a joke, which was the crowd saying, "Oh," and I was like, I don't want that. Give me a laugh. And I mean, I still kept the joke because like sometimes you get a O and sometimes you get a laugh, and I'm like, I don't know which one works. But yeah, I got to see Veer's set, man. Everybody's talking about those bits, so I genuinely got to watch it. So, yeah.
Did you see the Academy Awards when Seth MacFarlane hosted?
No, that was a few years back.
That was a few years back. He did a joke about Abraham Lincoln because he said Daniel Day-Lewis really got inside Abraham Lincoln's head, but no one got inside Abraham Lincoln's head like John Wilkes Booth. and the whole audience was like, "Oh my god!" And he's like, "Too soon." It's like it's been 150 years. Is it too soon? Like, when can we make a joke about this? It's just interesting, like, where people still will get offended about something. Anyway, Arnav Tana says, Saurabh, what's the meaning of offensive for you? Today, everything is offensive. I think we covered this. But if you do you have anything else you want to, like?
I mean, listen, as a comedian, it's pretty hard to offend us.
Yeah.
Like, but again, the thing is that I still don't like. So, for example, for me, one of the things that I'm never entirely comfortable watching nowadays is the roast, unless it's done between friends. Like, so if I have comedians roasting and blah 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 each other, like my favorite roast in the recent past has been the one of James Franco, because it seemed like a bunch of friends who just got together and screwed around. I really like that, but I don't know. I just find like I'm not sure about, and some of it is hilarious. But one part of me is like, I don't know, maybe that person felt bad, because a lot of the people who've received some of those jokes have been like broken at the end of it. And there'll be like a lot of people who've spoken about it. So I'm not entirely sure. But again, it's very hard to offend a comedian. So I just think that, like, actually, fuck it, just say what you want.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
The only rule I would say is that make fun of people who can defend themselves. That's it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is usually
Yeah. Don't punch down.
thing.
Yeah.
Punch down is good. Punching down is fun if you do it correctly.
Okay.
Like, it's dude, there's nothing exhilarating than doing a joke where you're like, did he just say that about dogs?
Right.
Like, yeah, but there's a way to do it, right? And again, and that's the challenge. So yeah. Anyway, yeah.
It's walking a fine line. Kartik Sharma says, this is for all the people who are asking why Jabby and Achara haven't appeared on Wake Up with Saurabh. Now, not only have they appeared in that video, Achara's pants had the same pattern as Saurabh's shirt.
Oh, this one?
Oh, I do have pants that look similar to your shirt.
I don't even know how he knew what pants you were
Yeah,
wearing.
I know. I'm like,
that's kind of
what?
That's
How
kind
do
of
you
creepy.
know what pants I was wearing, dude? What
Oh, maybe you said it. That's the only logical explanation.
Oh, maybe.
That you said it.
I don't know.
Yeah, we appeared. We were on your channel a long time ago.
Like months ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, well,
yeah, it was, I think.
Go ahead.
I think you guys were there in like the first 30 odd, probably. Yeah, it was quite some. Yeah, it was fun. I enjoyed.
Ashutosh B says, Saurabh, you did a lot of anime reviews and other random reviews as well. Do you at certain times feel pressure to do certain reviews, even if you feel like not doing it?
Well, I was supposed to review Attack on Titan season 4, which I've not gotten around to watching, to be honest, because I just got really busy with stand-up. I'm telling you, like, once stand-up rolls around, it becomes very hard to sort of, like, so the Veer Das set, for example, I've not watched it because I don't want to watch stand-up. Like, I just don't, like, when I'm honing the stand-up, I just refuse to watch any stand-up out there. So I was in a plane with Sonali Thakkar. She was opening for me in Bangalore, and I was sitting on the seat behind her, and in front she was watching stand-up with subtitles. And I'm like, this is annoying. I have to read the stand-up. So I was so repulsed by just watching any kind of stand-up. So I know that a lot of people have been saying do Attack on Titan season 4, which I will do. Maybe give me, I think, a week. As soon as I record my my set in Pune on this Saturday and the next one in Mumbai next Saturday, I'll be in a more calm, peaceful zone, and I will review whatever you ask me to review, which a lot of people have. A lot of these guys have told me to review anime, and that's the reason I got into it. And it's great. It's Attack on Titan is super. So yeah.
Most of the comedy that we watch has to be with subtitles.
Yeah, you got it. Yeah.
And people are like, you're not getting all the jokes. I'm like, I know, but that's fine. It's fine. We get what we can get.
What
you know?
jokes did we get?
But the water cooler one, like that you mentioned earlier, I had this thought in my head. I'm like, is it possible anyone got offended by that set because they're protective of water coolers?
Stupid.
I just wonder.
Well, I'm sure somebody's written a blog post about like violence towards water coolers. But like, listen, water also has microbial entities living in there, and just because they don't have Twitter representation doesn't mean that. Like, and by the way, if you don't know, a lot of those microbial they came with microbes attached to it, and the water cooler filtered them out. And is this the kind of world we want to live in, where we are controlling who enters our borders? So I'll get into that. So.
I mean, PETA got mad at Barack Obama for killing a fly on his hand.
Oh, I see.
What?
Yeah, that was the whole thing. I mean,
That's dumb.
Jesus.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. People can get offended about anything. Like everyone.
Listen, you know when I lost it? I lost it when not somebody, a horde of like hundreds and hundreds of people put out very erudite statements about how Friends is problematic.
What? I mean,
Oh yeah, because it's all Caucasians. Is that why?
All Caucasians, and then treatment of like women and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, just God, man, it's a really old show. First of all, I mean, when you think about it, it's like ended like to what 13 years back. It ended,
yeah.
maybe more. And like, what are you holding on to anymore? And oh yeah, oh, and I'll tell you, my Taylor Swift got irritated because they made a joke about her in some Netflix show and some bullshit,
Oh,
and
yeah.
she said, "Can we get over here?"
Yeah, because
And
of
she
her
said that, "Hey, can you stop
ex-boyfriends.
making fun of the fact that I dated a lot of boys, and you wouldn't have made fun of me if it was about a man?" And I'm like, listen, Charlie Sheen and fucking, what are you talking about? There's like it's just so much of this like getting on
Yeah, that's. I mean,
exhausting.
that's part of the new conversation about. I can't say the word, but SLUT shaming. Like,
Right.
that's the new conversation right now, and I'm like, but you're a public figure. Like, you're gonna be made fun of. It's fine. Like, these are just jokes. It's not like someone was actually attacking you. You know what I'm saying? And so I don't. That's just strange to me. That I don't know. The thing oh, that's what I was gonna tell you earlier was the story of how I discovered the R word was bad and YouTube
Yeah.
doesn't like it. I did I did some bit about Salman Khan because he had this controversial thing when he did Sultan, the movie, and he's talking about his training and whatnot. And he said he felt like a RAPED woman.
Yep. Yep.
And
Yep.
I did a video on that going, look, I think he's just not thinking about what he's saying. I don't think what he's doing is malicious. But because I used the word in my video, it got demonetized. And then I talked to YouTube directly at one point, like a person in front of me. And I asked them about that. They're like, yeah, you can't use that word. You just can't. I'm like, why? They're like, you just can't. There are certain things you can't say, otherwise it will be demonetized because advertisers don't want to associate with that. I'm like, that's great.
So the one time I was shadow banned on Instagram. In India, I found this one place which sold locks, okay, for the house,
Mhm.
and the name of the company was Hitler Locks, okay. And by the way, it's so weird that if you go to random parts of India, you'll find some strange place. You'll find a shop called Hitler, whatever clothing or something or the other, because they're fans at random parts of the country. So I put out a
Wow.
joke about that lock thing, and my account was shadow banned for like I think 2 3 weeks or something.
Wow.
Whoa.
That's so stupid. That's dumb.
Yep.
We have two more super chats here I wanted to get through. Camera Comparison says, Pont by, your bit about GOT was awesome. My favorite. He was very annoyed that I didn't say that earlier. I'm like, I'm getting to it. There's a whole conversation going
Calm
here.
down, camera comparison.
Nadia Fod says, Wake Up has been a great discovery. Appreciate that he brings people from all sides and not just the ones who share his ideology. Would love to see him interview 90s legend like Shaktiman and Shekhar Suman.
Yeah, I was actually talking to Shekhar Suman's manager, and I tweeted to Shekhar Suman in the middle as well. And Shakti Man, I'm not so sure about. See, the thing is that I generally I'm happy to talk to anyone. It just has to be. Actually, Shakti Man might be a fun conversation. The thing is that he said, did he say something really strange recently? I'm not talking politically. Something strange he said. I don't remember what, but yeah. And I'm still happy to talk to him. I'm still happy to talk to him. It just has to be like a fun chat.
Yeah.
I don't want it to be derailed by like you just going on and on about like how whatever, it's just make it fun and talk about your work. And I don't know,
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
happy to talk to anybody. I just have to feel comfortable with you. I think that's the easiest way to put it.
Are
I
you
have to have some fun in the conversation as opposed to whatever.
Are you Sharaj says we forgot a super chat? I didn't see
Okay,
it.
I will look for
I'm
it.
always trying to like make everybody happy. It's the hardest thing because I'm like I don't like ever like letting people down. And it's like as a YouTuber, you're constantly letting people down. It's like par for the course where you're always fucking up. You're always doing something wrong. You got this name wrong. You're not appreciating cricket enough and blah blah blah. I'm like, "Oh, okay. What can I do today to fuck up less?" you know? That's just like that's every day.
I didn't
You're
see.
never going to satisfy them, and,
Right.
and they are happy. They're happy. They're happy with all this stuff. I mean, yeah.
Oh, they said what he said was, because you're asking what the dude said. He said women should remain in home.
Yeah, he said something like that. Which I mean, like it's. And again, by the way, I'm happy to talk to him about even that. I'm happy to talk to him about that because I think okay, here's an example. Okay, there was a Uttarakhand chief minister who today said that women should not wear ripped jeans. And I'm paraphrasing, please correct me if I'm wrong, where he said that women should not wear ripped jeans. And I saw an NGO worker who was wearing a ripped jeans, and how can you trust that kind of person with your house? Some absolute rubbish like that. Now, as part of his full statement, he also said that if my son was wearing ripped jeans, I'd be angry with him or some rubbish, right? And I'm like, it's a stupid thing to say. But I don't know. I mean, like, it's like I would like to. Okay, there's a story of this guy who it's a very famous story about this guy who once said, one politician, some BJP politician, who said that Indians are not racist. We love black people because we have South Indians. Something absurd like that, he said.
Okay.
Again, I'm paraphrasing. Yeah. And everybody went crazy shitting on this guy, saying, how can you say that? And correctly so. That's a pretty screwed up thing to say. And then a lot of people started defending him, saying that he is actually one of the big proponents of Tamil Nadu, which is one of the South Indian states. And he's been very good in that zone. And he's not racist. He's just phrased himself horribly, really badly, and really stupidly, and made himself look like a fool. But again, was his intention to do that, or is it just that he requires a re-education on what he should say? That's it. I mean, so I don't know when this ends. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I feel like basically human beings are very tribal, warring creatures, and because a lot of us have the luxury of not having war, we're looking for a war. We're looking for a battlefield to just like rage out on, because it's all this pent up like spear throwing that we're not doing anymore. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We're not hunting anymore for lions and meat, you know? So, anyway, camera comparison says Jebby Coy replied, I conquered the internet B word. Oh, okay. That's a reference to when I got Tanmay to, basically Tanmay was live, and I rated his live stream. And then, like, we were doing, like, this weird thing where he was looking at me, I was looking at him, and we're looking at each other through our lives.
With a 20-second delay.
Tanmay. Yeah, it's not. We weren't like this on a Zoom. It was that he was looking at my live stream, I was looking at his, and it's this constant rotation of 20-second delays. And I was like, I conquered the internet, bitches. And so it's stupid. But let's see. So Abhishek Verma says, I wanted to read this to you because I thought you'd appreciate it. He says, hi, Saurabh. Really love your take on politics right now. This is coming from a right-leaning guy. Both sides are correct with their own opinion. Unfortunately, there's no conversation. It's just arguments.
Yeah, so I was reading a book by Tavleen Singh, who's a renowned historian. She's written a book called Darbar, which starts from the emergency in India till about the late 90s. And it's almost like so much of the stuff that we see in general is a repetition of the past. Like there's this prime minister in the past was a guy called Rajiv Gandhi, who I had a completely different opinion of him till I read this book, and now I'm like, oh my god, that's a lot. Like I didn't know so much about what he did.
Yeah.
And at some stage in the book, he says, and this is supposed to be a guy who people expected to be liberal and open-minded, which it turned out he was not. And he said something where he said, anybody who opposes me is anti-national. And I'm like, this is literally, it's the same cycle, right? And so I think one of the reasons why the anger cycle continues is because none of us are talking to each other enough. So I'm happy to talk. I just don't want to get into arguments because I don't think I have all the facts at hand.
Yeah, most of us don't.
Yeah.
So Rob Gawande says, so YouTube, R word is banned, but F word isn't. Yeah, F word it's surprisingly not banned, but like the R word is banned. The English word for chut is banned.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you can't.
I know what you're talking about. Okay.
Yeah, you can't say that.
See you next Tuesday.
See you next Tuesday. That's what we like to say over here. Is to see you next Tuesday. There's 2 or 3 words that are banned, and that's you said one. Actually, you said the other one.
You said the other one too. But you're batting 2 for 2.
Yeah,
in
like
stream.
the S word. SUICIDE.
Oh, and I also said HITLER. So we've covered all the bases.
Yeah.
Let's see if this gets demonetized or not.
Well, I don't think Hitler is actually a word that would automatically get this banned. It might get it flagged as like, hey, look at this, but I don't think it would get it banned. Arna Banerjee says there will be 10 minutes of world peace if everyone smoked one at the same time. If everyone just got high at the same time.
Yeah, but that would be very tough. I mean, dude, we can't get vaccines to so many people. How are you going to get a joint?
Right?
Exactly.
So true.
By the way, 3% of India is now vaccinated, which is not terrible. That's a pretty decent start, I thought. So.
Wait, how many percent?
3.
3%.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's
Apparently, those are the numbers that have come in.
okay. That's pretty
Which is
good.
not bad. I mean, I thought that was pretty decent number. I mean, given the time frame since the vaccine came in. So I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe people are like it should be 10%. I don't know. I think it's like 3% is still something. So yeah.
That's better than 0%. So
Yeah.
Kukuchuku says meow, by the way.
Meow, cuckoo, chickoo.
So I'm gonna stay with me, Saurabh. I'm gonna conclude the live stream here.
No, I'm checking how many US vaccinations just to compare, and then we can just like say who won. That's wow, 107 million. Did you guys get vaccinated? Have you guys?
No.
We haven't.
We're not.
We haven't.
We're not a high priority. We're not old enough, and we're not sick enough.
But Pfizer did send me an email going, we wanted to know your thoughts about the vaccine. I'm like, why? I didn't get vaccinated.
Just give me the goddamn vaccine, Pfizer. Stop asking for my opinion. My God.
Yeah. So Biden had the. I mean, I don't know if that's 100 million like completed vaccinations because you have the one where you have to have 2 shots.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if everybody in that I don't know how that's counting things. You know, it's like if there's like a huge chunk in there that still need a second shot to be vaccinated completely, you know?
Yeah, but I know a lot of people who have been able to get it, and so I'm very optimistic that we will.
It's interesting looking at YouTube because like YouTube doesn't know which direction to take this because there's 2 sets of videos out there right now like this is it for the rest of your life, and then other videos are there's light at the end of the tunnel. It's like I'm getting hit with both of them, and I'm like I don't know how to feel. What's coming next this summer? You know, it's crazy.
By the way, you guys are winning. US has got 107, India's got 32 million. So yours is 21%, India's is 2.3%. Yeah, you guys are winning. Like,
but Indians are stronger.
Right now.
But you
Indians have a stronger
too.
immune system, I think, than Americans do.
We actually do,
Yeah. So
Facts.
Achara had an incident.
My Thai antibodies disappeared after 15 years abroad, and I thought I could do the street food and I would be fine. The pani puri killed me, but it was delicious. It was a great death, and I don't regret it. I would do it again in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
With each bite, you're like, this is going to be one day more in bed, but it's worth it.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Nicely done. Nicely done.
Yeah, there's a whole story that goes with that, but we've told that on to our audience too many times. So let me just conclude this stream here, and then you and I can keep chatting. You guys, thanks so much for hanging out with us. Really appreciate that. To the super chatters, regular chatters, people just hanging out and listening to us like a podcast. Everyone who's here, thank you for being here. Love y'all. And make sure to check out Saurabh on his YouTube channel and his Instagram. Look out for his dates. His comedy dates.
Comedy dates, not like
jabby
jabby dates.
Not like jabby dates.
Yeah. Please come. I'm doing stand-up on tomorrow. In fact, in Mumbai, I'm doing a show. It's a small, tiny little show. So get your tickets now. And Saturday, I'm performing at Spade Comedy Club, which is my favorite comedy club in the country. Beautiful place to do stand-up. So it's a resto bar kind of situation. So we're recording some stand-up there. And then next week, as I said, 27th is recording in Mumbai with Angad and Ronak and Sonali Thakkar. And then Hyderabad is coming. Bangalore is coming. Calcutta is also going to be coming. And I think we might add Guwahati as well. So a lot of shows. I'm finally back on stage and all proper social distancing. Also want to say, please don't ask me for a meet and greet. I'm not being an a-hole. I just don't want to be in that position. I don't want you to be in that position.
Right.
I'll try and take selfies with it, like a joint selfie, and then not the joint selfie that Arnab asked for, but a separate one, and we'll get it going. So yeah.
Yeah. All right. You guys, peace out.
Thanks, Jabby. Thanks, Achara.
Thank you